Good day. Thank you for turning into this 2018 General Election Candidate Forum for Thurston County Commissioner, District 3. The forum is presented by the League of Women Voters of Thurston County and Thurston Community Media. The League is a nonprofit organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in their government. The League neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties. We are nonpartisan. The League registers new voters, works to get out the vote, studies issues, and advocates for its positions with governing bodies. Despite its name, the League is open to both men and women of ages 16 and up. I'm Mary Moore from the League, and I'll be moderating this forum. The candidates for Thurston County Commissioner District 3 are Bud Blake and Ty Menser. For this forum, each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening statement. Then I will ask them questions in alternating order. The person first asked the question will have 2 minutes for a response, followed by 1 minute for the other candidate. There will be 1 minute for closing statements at the end. We will begin with opening statements from the candidates, beginning with Bud Blake and followed by Ty Menser.
I'm Commissioner Bud Blake, and currently seeking 4 more years of service, primarily because I love the people here in Thurston County, and I love building a robust economy and taking care of the environment by protecting and serving those who live within that. I've had a very successful last 4 years, but it doesn't come without challenges. I'll just highlight a few other things. First and foremost was the Habitat Conservation Plan, otherwise known as the Monzoma Pocket Gopher. That was put onto us by the federal government, primarily the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, about approximately 4 to 5 years ago. And since that time, I've been fighting diligently to reduce that in terms of cost. First, it was $151 million, and then 9,000 acres. And currently, we have it down to approximately $50 to $54 million and about 1,000 acres. This plagued our economy horribly in the south part of the county, where people were coming into the office many times crying and looking for relief. We're still on a glide path to be able to do this. So with that, also the budget. We are in a deficit budget this year, but I took the risk of paying some one-time items off, about 4 or 5 of those. And we will not be seeing those in the future. And so with that, we'll be able to have the better revenue fund sites as far as the funds. Also was the promise to put deputy sheriffs on the road. Currently, there's 4 more added to the inventory with 7 new corrections officers. With that in mind, you love public safety, and public safety is incredible for you to be able to have so that you can have response times to those issues that are at home or on the road. And so those are some of the things that I like to highlight right now, and I look forward to talking to, answering more questions about what's going on in the future.
Thank you, Bud. Ty.
My name is Ty Menser, and I'm running as a Democrat for the Board of County Commissioners, District 3. I'm running for County Commissioner to help Thurston County prepare for its future. The county faces increasingly complicated problems with fewer and fewer financial resources to solve them. I'm concerned when the county has been in deficit spending for 2.5 years running, spending down a budget reserve during a time of economic expansion. I'm concerned when the county has been deemed formally out of compliance with the state's Growth Management Act, affecting county's eligibility for grant money. And I'm deeply concerned when homeless numbers continue to spike in our community, especially among children and families with children. But I'm also running for County Commissioner to help bring balance and critical thinking back to the County Commission. Right now, our County Commission includes former military and law enforcement officers, and that's all it includes. We need people from different professional backgrounds with different skill sets to adequately address the difficult problems we face. I want to bring my personal, professional, and educational experiences to bear on the new approaches and creative solutions to the problems facing Thurston County. I have an undergraduate degree in government from Harvard. I have a law degree from the University of California, Berkeley. I've had a 21-year legal career with a focus on criminal defense, and the biggest part of your county's budget is the law and justice system. I've spent the biggest part of my legal career in public service as a public defender. I've lived for 7 years in rural communities in northern Alaska. representing the interests of indigenous peoples living above the Arctic Circle and throughout interior Alaska. I served for 3.5 years on Thurston County's Water Conservancy Board. I spent time in Mexico, Chile, and Argentina, learned Spanish. My wife is from Bulgaria, and I appreciate what people from other cultures can bring to our community. I play the bluegrass banjo, which is important on the county commission. And finally, I was raised by 4 public school teachers. My dad was a teachers union president. I'm a father of 2, a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old. My wife is a kindergarten teacher. These are the values that I will bring to my work every day as your county commissioner. Look forward to answering your questions today.
Thank you very much, both of you. Question number 1. Let's start with Bud and move to Ty. Thurston County's budget for 2018 reduced the county general fund's fund balance significantly. How will you restore financial sustainability for Thurston County?
Sure. Currently, the general fund balance is well above $10 million, and while that's the minimum, I would like to see it around $16 million. And we predict that it'll be actually 11.2 by the end of the year. Sales tax will be coming in over time, and we were able to calculate that into it. But I see no problems whatsoever meeting the $10 million mark or more. It happens every year. People get scared in the early part of the spring thinking you're not going to make it. But budgets are always wobbly as you go through time. And with my years in the military experience handling budgets up to $2 billion and what I've been doing for the county to get us straight as far as the near future, we'll be able to do these things. And the reason why we're in a deficit right now is because of the way we had to do some one-time expenditures, such as the Maytown incident and the Habitat Conservation Plan, and the jail issue that was going on that plagued us over the previous commissions. Those are no longer issues that we're going to have to deal with here in the near future. So with that, I'd see nothing but good revenues coming in for 2019, 2020. And oh, by the way, I stuck a biennium budget in there where I was 2-to-1 vote to be able to pass that, to keep that stability through the upcoming years and the upcoming biennium budgets process. It's been absolutely great. And what you should know is the investors and that look at our budgets have said that we're doing so good that we went from a AA to AA plus rating so that we can borrow money in the future at a cheaper rate. And I think that's phenomenal financial management. And I love doing my job doing that.
Ty.
What I want voters to understand is that we have been deficit spending since early 2016, and the budget reserve has been consistently falling. And we are, as Mr. Blake points out, right at the edge of financial solvency in terms of meeting our minimum $10 million reserve mark. And your question was, how are we going to restore financial management? And what I want to do is look at our biggest area of spending in the general fund is law and justice. I'm a criminal defense attorney by trade. I have a lot of good ideas about how we can work with our prosecutor, with our sheriff, with our corrections chief, sit down and figure out meaningful and responsible justice reform. When you're spending too much money, you got to look at the biggest area where you're spending, and that's the criminal justice system. So that's where I would focus my efforts. I would also implement long-term financial planning. We've got to look at a whole range of things, such as our housing issue, which is straining people's ability to, it's called wealth destruction, it's straining their ability, that affects sales tax revenue. We have a lot of factors that are affecting our local economy, but we absolutely can't continue to spend on our budget reserve.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question will come to you, Ty, and you will have 2 minutes, and then Bud 1. What should the county do to assure environmental sustainability?
That's a huge question, and there's a lot of things we can do. This is near and dear to my heart. It's one of the reasons why I want to run for county, why I wanted to run for county commission, and why I want to be a county commissioner. In 2013, I believe, we had a sustainable Thurston plan that involved a lot of money and a lot of community input, and it's just one of the most amazing documents, set of documents that a community's put together. I don't think we're looking at a lot of the things that are in that plan. It was, something that we did, and it was important, and we set it on the shelf. And we really need to be using that as a guide as we look at the problems that we face in terms of absorbing 100,000 people into this county, which is the county projection by 2040. How are we going to do that and continue to maintain our natural resources? New data from Thurston County from August of 2018 assessing water quality in all of our surface waters showed degraded water quality in over half of our surface water bodies in Thurston County. This cannot be allowed to continue. We absolutely have to put a priority on this because the problem is only going to get more and more acute as more and more people come to the county. So finding a balance is difficult. We still have to be mindful of economic development, and we have to be mindful of growth and housing supply. Those things have to happen, but they always have to be mindful of our resources. Septic systems, for example, we have 54,000 of them in Thurston County, a very high number. Number one cause of water quality issue on the Deschutes River. Number one cause of water quality on a lot of our lakes inland. It's not just an issue around the Puget Sound. So we have to deal with that issue. We have to be mindful of fish passage. I mean, there's so many issues wrapped into what you asked, but you can be certain that if I'm a county commissioner, these issues will always be a high priority as I consider important decisions.
Bud?
Sure, it is a complicated issue, but it's also a fairly easy one. It's about management and policy that goes with this, where people need to grow and live and grow their families and have workplaces. That needs to be managed in one way, and then where there's preservation of prairie lands and other natural grounds, that also needs to be managed. But for me, foremost is the water. The water quality and water availability is key to us sustaining the lifetime and the greatness that we have here in Thurston County. I would want to go forth and clean up Bud Inlet. I know it's contaminated immensely, and then also I would want to look at Eld Inlet. Those two inlets are super important to where the watershed overall, to include the Deschutes River, and that's where we'll be going for the next 4 years in terms of a policy plan that outlines clean water that helps out with not only the economy but the environment and making that balance happen.
Thank you. You're the next person for 2 minutes.
Sure.
Thurston County has been cited for missing the deadline to produce its comprehensive plan. The purpose of a comprehensive plan is to plan for new growth in the county and also how various kinds of resources can be preserved for the future. What policies do you want to see in the next comprehensive plan? And there's a follow-up question to that one.
Sure.
How would you assure that the subsequent plan is completed on time?
Thank you for that question, Mary. Friends, let me tell you that there is no out of compliance. Last week we were able to talk with the Department of Commerce, and it is now resolved. It was never really out of compliance. Even my 2 former seatmates and I had a good faith and goodwill with the Department of Commerce to be able to solve it. And so that has been resolved, and so there's no more of an issue of being, quote, out of compliance. And I'm so excited to have been part of the comprehensive plan, because when I came into office, that was one of my issues to take and move it forward, because it had been in install mode the whole time. And even more important was to be able to include the housing and health issues that go on there, that go into the whole overall comprehensive plan. That had never been before, which is critical to the vibrancy of this county. Not only in terms of health and economics, but those be able to have the workplaces that in living and be able to play in parks and other outdoor activity. It's super important to me to have that comprehensive plan done, and it is on track to be done completed by March of 2019, or if not earlier.
And how would you assure, and by completed on time, that is the time you've been given?
Yes.
I see.
You bet.
Thank you. Ty, would you like to respond?
Sure. Well, it was due in June of 2016, so if there's been a negotiated extension, that's great, but we're over 2.5 years behind on the comp plan update. But that's not really the key issue. The key issue is what goes into the comprehensive plan, and that makes sure that it's the right stuff for Thurston County's future. I'd like to see, for example, a policy of no net loss of agricultural lands. As we continue to grow, we continue to preserve working agricultural lands. I want to make sure there's appropriate shoreline management protection in that plan. That's been a contentious issue as the process has gone forward. We need to be mindful of that. The Growth Management Act requires that development outside of our municipalities and our urban growth area boundaries be non-urban in nature. And that's what I'm concerned, that our current county commission is not well equipped to be mindful of those restrictions and make sure that we develop in a compact way that prevents loss of agricultural land, prevents infrastructure costs we don't need and can't afford, and alters the fundamental character of our county.
Thank you. Thank you. So next, you first. A new unit for the jail, now referred to as the corrections facility, is planned. What is the purpose of the unit? What are the benefits of constructing it? What would happen if it were not built?
So the new unit to the jail is an interesting question. It was sort of planned out and financed, so I understand the thought of putting it there. But when I went to the county's open houses that they had for what the community wanted to put priority on spending money on, and you got 3 green dots and you got 3 red dots and a whole bunch of blue dots, and green meant you really wanted money spent there. You only got 3 selections. And red meant you didn't want money, absolutely no money spent on that, and you only got 3 of those, and you could put blue wherever you wanted. A new addition to the jail was a sea of red dots. Not a single blue dot, not a single green dot. The community was very clear they didn't want this. And if we look at the way we're doing criminal justice, we may not need it. We have an adequate capacity jail for the size of the county that we have. And I think the issue is that 45% of the folks in our jail have a mental health diagnosis. The jail, if folks were tracking the structure of our new jail, it's built in pods. It's not individual cells like you'd see on TV. It's in a pods that the prisoners are free to walk through, and in certain classifications, and that doesn't work very well when half your jail population has a mental health diagnosis. They have to be separately housed, segregated. The structure of the jail doesn't meet the nature of the jail population. So if we can, this is segueing into another issue area, but it's important. If we can build up our mental health crisis treatment resources, more diversion, and by diversion, I mean not even getting people to the criminal justice system, not diverting them out of it, we can, and then reform our bail practices, which both prosecutorial candidates are talking about, we can potentially not need an addition to the jail, is my view.
Bud?
Yeah, sure. This is what the military has taught me in terms of being a plan A, plan B, and plan C. The flex unit, as it's called, may or may not happen. We are budgeting for it just in case. We do that because there is a growth in population, and when you have more people come into your community, you have more felons. And we're statutorily bound by the state to accept felons into our system, whether we like it or not. So we're just preparing for that just in case that happens. The more important portion of this is to have reform in our criminal justice system. We're doing that absolutely marvelously now because of the way we're able to come together as a team, talk civilly with each other, and not argue amongst each other, and stop with the continuances. This has been great, and it's absolutely true. We do not want our jails to be mental health institutions. We're working digitally through the Thurston Behavioral Health Organization, which I'm the chair of, and we are absolutely in front of that happening, doing a lot of diversions. So 4 more years, you'll see a lot of this cleaned up.
Thank you. The next question will be addressed to you, Bud. You have 2 minutes to answer. Ty, you have 1 minute to respond. Which citizen advisory boards do you feel are the most important? How will you decide to appoint? How will you decide who to appoint as those people to those advisory positions?
Yeah. Mary, can I ask you to repeat that so I can hear it all at once?
Okay. Which citizen advisory boards do you feel are the most important? How will you decide who to appoint to those advisory positions?
There's a couple of them that I would say that are super important. I'm going to start with the Thurston Behavioral Health Organization. We have a mental health advisory board where 2 of the county commissioners sit on that and 1 from another county sit there. We do that in such a way that we look at those who are involved in the community, both in mental health and substance abuse, because we feel that that is a #1 priority here in Thurston County and the greater part of the Northwest and the country, in fact. We have great roads, we have great food, we can be able to travel where we want, we can talk where we want, but mental health is really where we need to go to be able to right-size our whole spectrum of life and be able to move forward as a whole to taking care of each other. We are very much in tune with making sure that happens, and so that our jails do not become the place to be able to harbor there. But there's others also. I think the Agricultural and Tourism Board is important. We need money from those who come here and visit our particular Thurston County. We have a great population designated site, and we select those based on the same thing: talent, skill set, those who are involved in community, and have longevity so that we can carry out those plans and concerns of each one of those particular segments of life. So I'll pick those two.
Thank you.
You bet.
Ty?
I think I don't have a strong opinion about which are the most important, but I would focus on the Planning Commission just because of the growth that we're experiencing, the planning that needs to be done to accommodate that growth and meet those challenges. And I know that the Planning Commission often does a lot of the legwork that's presented directly to the County Commission about some of the policy initiatives that the commissioners are ultimately going to consider and decide on. The way I would decide to put people on it is kind of what I said earlier about the County Commission. I think that you get the best results and the most critical thinking when you have people from different life experiences, diversity, whether it's ethnic diversity, educational, socioeconomic, I mean, just different kinds of folks from different places get a good discussion going. And for the same reasons that I would like to see more diverse county commission, I would also want to see these really important citizen advisory committees just bring people from very different parts of our community. I think we'll get the best results if we do that way.
We've come to the last question, and this will be you to start it off, Ty. Law, safety, and justice functions compose over 75% of the county's general fund budget. While this is relatively standard for most jurisdictions in Washington state, it constrains other departmental budgets. How will you prioritize budget requests for additional sheriff staffing over other county needs?
It's a great question. There have been needs. So I'm aware of what you say, that Thurston County is not out of line in terms. It's typical that that much of a general fund for a county would be spent on law and justice. I just think that county governments are squeezed with costs rising 3 to 5% a year. We have to do better. And it's a great time to be doing justice reform because there are squeezes all over the nation and a lot of jurisdictions experimenting with a lot of good policies. And so I think that we can squeeze that number down. That doesn't necessarily mean less sheriffs on the road, though. We did have an issue with difficulty with rural coverage and domestic violence incidents. So there was some need for additional personnel in order to provide appropriate emergency response coverage to our whole county. That doesn't mean the overall law and justice system can't be trimmed or not. I don't mean trimmed, but I just mean cannot be new policies to be put in place that can basically result in savings, keeping our community safer for less money. So requests for new sheriffs will be taken just as seriously as any other request, and be something that, you know, I know that the County Commission has hired more sheriffs. Maybe we're where we need to be. Maybe we're not. That's something I'll look carefully at if I'm a county commissioner. But when we look at our overall law and justice system, it's not just sheriffs. We deal with the prosecutor's office, public defense, the courts. As a former public defender and a criminal defense attorney, I work with each piece of the law and justice system every day. I don't think you could have a better person situated to evaluate. To defend my clients, I pick apart what sheriffs do, what tools are working, what tools are not working. I read their reports every day as my job. I work with public defense. I have a contract as a public defender. 10% of my legal practice is through public defense. I work with prosecutors every day and judges every day, of course. So I want to get down to business on that part of the system, because not only is it good for our community, but it's good for our budget. If we can find a way to cut that 75% down without compromising public safety, that's what we do.
Bud?
Yeah, sure. Friends and neighbors, it is not always easy to run a budget, and so it always works off of the values and the systems that the constituents have asked for. It's their taxpaying dollars, and you just have a way of being able to prioritize those issues. First and foremost is public safety. No matter where you sit in or live in this county, public safety is the #1 item. To have a response time of 11 minutes to such as a domestic violence call when a lady is in trouble with needing help for whatever issues she's dealing with, with is not the answer. So you have some deputy sheriffs need to be put on the road, and they need to be, so that they can go home also, they need the equipment to go with that. The other piece is the health. We are also part of the Board of Health, and so health is a big concern. Those social determinants that cause families to collapse and not be whole throughout their lifetime is an important issue to us. I do not want to hear of more struggling families in this particular community, and I look forward to working on those who putting out health issues that we could bring better families and better kids up in the schools, and that's it. There you go. Got timed.
Thank you both very much. Now you have a chance for your closing statement. Rah, rah, vote for me. Okay. So let's start with you, Ty.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to address the public and present my candidacy. I'm very excited at the prospect of being able to serve on the County Commission. It's something I've wanted to do for a number of years. My candidacy is supported by a range of organizations, including labor, education, and the environment. My candidacy is endorsed by a wide range of elected leaders in Thurston County, including all 7 members of the Olympia City Council, 6 members of the Tumwater City Council, 5 members of the Lacey City Council, and all 3 mayors of those jurisdictions. Sam Hunt, Beth Dolio, Lori Dolan, Port Commissioner Zita, Insurance Commissioner Mike Kreidler. I'm proud of each and every one of those endorsements because as a first-time candidate, they understand that we have a need for new leadership in Thurston County. They understand that I will be a passionate advocate for sound financial management, collaborative problem solving, and careful stewardship of our natural resources. My name is Ty Menser. I'm running for County Commissioner, and I'm asking for your vote on November 6th.
Bud.
Sure. Commissioner Bud Blake and I am seeking 4 more years. I also have a large range of supporters, and they go from Democrats, Independent, Republican. It doesn't matter to me because I love taking care of people and where they want to go in life. It means that much to me. That's what I get up out of bed every morning to do, is to strive to make this place a better place for each and every person. I'm labor supported, I'm environmentally strong, and I love taking care of the economy, making sure we have a healthy economy. That is important to us. Some of the things I like to do in the future, I think child care facilities are important because that helps with single parent moms be able to get to work, be able to drop off the kids, be it mom or dad. I think that's an excellent entry into a greater economy. I think the I-5 corridor is a great economy piece to take care of. And I think the shellfish industry and the waters of the Eld Inlet and Bud Bay need to be looked at. I'm there for you. My door is wide open every single time we need to take care of an issue, both individually and collectively. I absolutely look forward to serving you. It's a joy to be able to be your county commissioner. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for participating in the League of Women Voters General Election Forum for Thurston County Commissioner, District 3. We encourage viewers to vote. Vote, vote, vote in the general election November 6th, 2018. Remember, ballots are postage free, so just put it in the mail. The League particularly thanks Thurston Community Media for their ongoing support and wonderful assistance. Thank you.